Morning guys, so as some of you know, I made a bit of a boo-boo last night and done the plumbing for the bath tap and the mixer valve and all that round the wrong way. That's the joys of when you're trying to video stuff and do the work and work from the back instead of the front. So it's only a minor issue. I'm going to get on that this morning, get that addressed. Ricky is going to crack on with the grouting, which is only a matter of doing that one wall there, so this wall, and then obviously the boxing all the way down there, and the window wall is all we've got to get done. So once all that's grouted, we're going to de-peg it all, clean it all, grout it all, and then I've got to try and do something with the bath panel. Now that's where the fun's going to be. I'm not quite sure best way to go about this. I have some ideas on how to strengthen the bath panel, and I've got some 12mm or 9mm OSB in the van which I could glue into the back of the panel because it's only flimsy plastic, which will help make it more rigid, but that's only if required. But anyway, let's not worry about that right now. Let's get this toilet out, get this room cleaned up and ready for, sorry I'm playing with the gimbal, ready for grouting. See you in a bit. Okay, so after yesterday's little mishap with the pipe work, it is now been readdressed, and as you can see, completely redone. Hot and cold are now the right way round, and we're just in the middle of putting on the valve. So when you do these valves, these are the best things to buy. You can get these so easy to get these level. Drill your holes, screw them on, loads of silicone in the holes, put your shrouds on. No silicone required because you've already basically covered them up, and then you're ready to put your valve on. And just like that, we have hot and cold water. Spot on. And as you can see there, you can see the reflection. That's your hot pipe. There's a little red dot there for hot. And if we come in here, go from there up into our red marked hot and into our hot there, and that pipe is getting lovely and hot. Beautiful. Oh, so that's that job done. Now I've got to start looking at this bath panel. This is not going to be fun, but we'll see how we get on. I've still got to do the riser rail, but that's not a major issue. So we've now fitted the riser rail for the shower, and I'll show you that. Little tip for you. When you're fitting a riser rail, I never put the actual riser in the centre, because you want the head in the centre, because otherwise you'll be standing off centre trying to have a nice shower. So I always try to centre the actual head. Some people are going to say, oh yeah, but it doesn't look right because it's off centre. But when you practicality, for practical purposes, you want that head centred. So that's what I do. I always shunt the riser rail over. This one's set because the average person is right-handed, so it's set for right-handed, because I always go right hand first to grab the shower head. But that's just me, guys. But as you can see now, she's all in. I am going to get a longer hose for the client, because we set the tap quite low to make sure we got a good, so it fills the bath nicely. We could have gone a bit higher with the mixer, but it's not the end of the world. I'm just going to get a slightly longer hose, probably a 2 metre one. That way then they can raise that up even higher. But for most people, that's a good height. So we're getting there. Ricky's cracking on. He's grouted this wall behind me. He's just letting that go off. He's done all the boxing. So we've only got that wall left to grout. So we're coming along nicely now. Oh, sorry. Still getting used to this camera, guys, because it's got a little joystick thing where I can control the camera. But we will get there. But yeah, next job, bath panel. Now, I'm not quite sure how this one's going to go, so I'm going to do a little bit of playing around first, and then I'll discuss with you my thinking. Stay tuned for that. Okay guys, so the original plan was to use some OSB 12mm that I had in my shed left over from another job. And what we're going to do is we were going to cut it to the right length with the bend, cut loads of slots on it so we could bend it and follow the contour of the bath panel. Now unfortunately, the bit I had was off the shelf, it wasn't quite long enough. So what I've had to do, I've had to cut it to width. So we've cut it to width, which was 555. 55.5 centimeters if you like, or 555 mil, whatever you want to call it, and then we just cut it to the main length. So that'll go to the first bend on the main length, and then that's the return coming back, and then the bend will just be the bend. That will give me a bit more flexibility in it, but by gluing this into the back, I'm hoping to stiffen the whole panel up to give me a much better fixing point, because this panel's got to be, I don't even know how we're going to fix it properly yet, so it's a bit of a trial and error situation. So bear with me, I'm just going to run these upstairs with some clamps, and we're going to try and clamp this in place with some expanding foam PU adhesive, something that won't melt the plastic but will give us a solid fixing. So we'll give that half an hour or so to let that go off, because it won't take long, and then we can start mucking about trying to fit it. Okay, so I found the only space in the house where we can do this. So what we've done is sprayed a load of PU foam all over the back of the panel, and we're going to drop that one on and clamp it, and we're going to do the same with that piece on that section there. I'm going to leave it for a little while to go off, and then hopefully we'll be good to go. Okay, so we've glued little panel there, and then that big panel there. Obviously, like I said, we're going to leave that bit, so I didn't have quite enough. Luckily we had a couple of boxes of tiles left, so I'm using them just to weigh it down. This stuff will go off in 20 minutes, half an hour, so we can leave that all clamped as it is in here. There's nobody home at the minute. Tell you what, climbing for 2 flights of stairs every time you want to go to the van or do any work is a nightmare. But anyway, yeah, we're going to leave that to dry, and then we'll come back to it. Hopefully this will work how I'm hoping it's going to work, because the sort of general thinking is on these bits here, on these bits here, I can multi-tool off some of the excess on the bottom, which would be, yeah, that would be the bottom. I could multi-tool that flush with the board, and then I can put some timber on the floor, and if I need to, I could potentially screw a couple of screws through the bottom just to help keep the bottom in. I could do the same there, and that will help tie it in, hold it up off the floor if it needs off the floor, and it just help fix it in. And then maybe do something similar by doing the top as well in a couple of places, and gluing some blocks to the underside of the bath with the same sort of system. Again, this is all theoretical, it's just a work in progress. We've still got to cut this to length because it's oversized, so that's got to be something I've got to figure out as well. Oh, the joys, eh? The joys. Anyway, stay tuned guys, hopefully we get a good result out of this. Okay, so that's all now dried and glued. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to take it off around the corner, but I'm just going to multi-tool this off, flush, top, bottom there, and on there, because I'm going to glue some timbers to the bath and clamp them on as well, and then we can get a fixing potentially, or at least it'll be somewhere where we can put a stop, and then we can work it out from there. This is a build it as you go guys. This is going to make this so much more solid now. You know, it's got a bit of flex there still, which is fine, but the actual overall bath panel is now really solid. It's a pretty good shout doing this, if you can do this with a bath panel, I think. Okay, so we've now trimmed off the excess, which is there. So this is all nice and flat now. We've done it there as well. What we're not going to do it here. We're going to leave this at full thickness, because if we try and thin that down, it'll make it structurally weak. But we are going to trim this piece off there and there, just so that our battens, I've got something so we can sit our battens in a bit easier. It's just going to make it easier to get this panel in. So I'm just going to trim those two sides up. Make sure this is smooth all the way along. Maybe get my little hand plane and just plane these a bit more, just to get them a bit smoother and flatter. And then I'm happy to go. Okay, so I'm going to use a sliding square, and we want to get a measurement of the thickness of this. But what I also want to get is a slight overhang on the bath. So that gives me that little round over on the bath, like we set the silicone to. So that's what we're aiming for. So we're going to use this now to help glue our timbers in place off the edge of the bath. So let's go get that bit done. I've already cut them to length. All I've got to do is basically glue them in and we're good to go. So I will get used to this camera. Okay, so as you can see, we've now glued our bit of timber there and there all the way down, bridging that gap so we don't go to the waist there. So that's all now set to the distance that we want it set to. So that's just off the bath. So I'm going to leave that now to dry, let that glue go off. And when that's gone off, we can then secure that batten to the floor, that batten to the floor, then we can bring the bath panel up and see how we get on. So they're now glued up under the bath there, then bits of board, bits of timber, sorry. We've got one glued there and screwed to the floor, one's glued to the wall. We've got a support batten there, a support batten there, and there. So what we're going to do now, because obviously we trimmed this needs cut into length and width. So the idea is, but that's how it's hitting the wall, like so, roughly same distance away, and then we're going to measure this distance here and there from front to back, get it the same, and then we know roughly how much we've got to take off of that back edge. And then basically we've got to repeat the same process and take some off of that edge, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll slide in a little pack up and we can secure it. The only way I can see securing this, guys, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, is with some like little screws and white covers. It's, even if I did a system where I could slide it on or some sort of hook system, you're never going to get it off. The only way you're going to get it off easily is four screws on the front and maybe 2 screws on the end there. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be functional. I dare say there's going to be a few people in the comments who have better suggestions, and I'm always open to better suggestions, but at the moment this is where we're going. So let's try and take these measurements and try and cut this panel and see how it comes out. The plan, so we reckon it's 25mm off. So what I've done is I've marked 25mm, I've done a pencil line and I've clamped my level to it to give myself a guide, because I'm going to use my multi-tool to cut this, because I think anything else would be a bit too vicious. So hopefully the multi-tool will trim that without any issues. Let's see how she comes out. So that end cut really well, and I think we're going to get a nice overhang on there now. So all I've got to do now is literally try and repeat the same process now on this edge. Measure that and trim that, and hopefully that will sit in there beautifully. So let's get that done as well. Okay, so we've got a reasonably good cut there. We've got a couple of shims underneath it just to shim it up, but I think all in all, I mean, this is a plastic bath, it's going to have some flex in it, but I think all in all, I think that works. And it's, once I get a couple of fixings in that, it's going to be solid. You know, if I put like a fix in there and maybe a fix in there down at the bottom as well, and then maybe a couple just down there, sort of here-ish, just to help bind that corner, I think that's going to be the best I can do. I mean, I could just silicone it and be done with it, but I don't think the silicone would hold it in place for very long. I know, I might be wrong. I could just silicone it and leave it wedged, and then they can just cut the silicone away. But first things first, we've got to get the plastic protection off. But I think that is done. I'm happy with that. I don't know about you guys, but considering the grief we had with that, and now that we put that timber in there, those panels will be solid when they're fixed in. Happy days. I think that's good enough. So now that's done, we can get the plastic off it. I'm going to play around with it. I might put some silicone behind it and actually try and glue it to the wood behind. Don't know yet. I haven't come to a conclusion. Tape it in place until tomorrow, see how she holds. But in the meantime, we're going to get on with our vanity units. So we've got to do the toilet and the sink vanity. Get them in, get them screwed to the wall, get all the plumbing done, get the toilet in, get the sink on and working, give the walls another clean. And we're doing well, guys. I think we're doing really well. We just play it by ear, see how we get on. See you in a bit. Okay, so I keep saying okay at the start of every video. I've got to stop doing that. Anyway, I've adjusted all the pipe work now. We've got our first brackets on the wall for the sink vanity. Just flip you around. So we've got our brackets on the wall. We're allowing to put a decal panel inside here. So there'll be a decal panel that can slide in there. So we've allowed for that. We've only ordered one and we need it, unfortunately, to do the filler that side. There may be enough off it to finish that, but we don't know. So I've swept the pipes over for hot and cold, because I did put them in the wrong place originally, but it's done now. We've put a feed on and an isolator for the toilet. We've screwed them on. We've got to drill our 4 holes there for the toilet. It's all marked out. Basically, we are pretty much ready to go. When you're doing tiling in, when you're screwing into tiles, guys, these are porcelain, so you need specialist diamond bits. These are ox ones, and these are £20 odd a pop, which is not good. You can get them cheaper on Amazon, and they only do about 6 or 7 holes. That one's gone. Nearly fell over. Yeah, so when you're doing it, make sure you put your raw plugs in. You knock the raw plugs through the tile into the wall. Because what will happen is that, as you can see there, that tile cracked where we put the clip back on, because I didn't quite knock the raw plug through. That one doesn't matter, it's never going to be seen. But that is a prime example of why you always hit your raw plugs through the tile and into the wall if you want to get a solid fix in. Otherwise you'll be asking for trouble and you're potentially going to get cracked tiles. So that's a little tip for you guys. Just going to throw these vanities in, get them leveled up, secured to the wall, and then we can finish the plumbing off on the sink and the toilet and get that all in. We're looking good to have a working toilet and sink today. The bath is up and running. We just got to do the final bits with the bath panel, which I'm going to do at the end of the day, because I don't want to damage it and I don't want to knock it. So we're potentially going to silicone it in place and leave it at that, with some gaffer tape, with some masking tape to hold it until tomorrow. But we'll see how things go. We've got a bit of a plan. We're just going to jiggle it and wiggle it a little bit. Units are now in and secured to the wall. They've all clipped on. They're all looking nice. Pipe work is all in the right position. We're going to put a filler panel in down there. And then we've got to get a decal panel in on this side. I've already spaced that, make sure it's correct. I've got one decal panel, but looking at it, we should be able to just use that one panel. I did order a second one, but I don't think we're going to need it. So we've got to put a scribe in down there. So what we've done, we've literally just put that up against the wall like so. So it's up against the wall, all the way down, nice and tight. Then all I've done is just do a pencil mark down it. So there's my pencil mark, if you can see that. And I need 170 for the other side, so that's my 170 mark. So we can cut that off, and then this excess piece will be used as a return to secure my filler panel. So we're going to get all them cut, get that in there, get that one on in there, get them all flush, get the doors on, get the panels on, make sure everything's all sitting as it should. Once we're happy, we'll pop the doors and the panels off, put the sink on, connect it up, and then we can work on the toilet. Okay, she's in. Decal panel filler is in. That one is cut. We haven't fitted it yet because we're going to put the doors on first and make sure that panel sits flush with the doors, and then we can get our sink on. So before I put the sink on, I think I'm going to have to do all the plumbing for the toilet and get that cistern in and all that sort of stuff in there first. Make sure that's all sitting nice as it should be. It's central. Get the water pipe connected to it. Then the sink can go on, because then the rest of it doesn't matter, because I can do the rest with the sink in place. So let's get the cistern in, get it connected up, and then we can get on with it. Cistern is now connected with a flexi, still turned off, secured in there with a screw, and then you've got this metal plastic bracket that screws to the back of the cabinet that had some pilot holes. So you just screw that on first, drop that on, and then put a screw in to stop that from lifting off. Next job we've got to do, we've got to cut out this for the sink. So the sink comes down over just over the top of that. So we need to cut this out. So what I like to do, I like to put this in place, make sure it's all lined up, everywhere's all lined up. Then I'm going to get a Stanley knife, I'm going to carefully cut that through the paper and score the panel behind, and then I can jigsaw it out. So like I was saying, nice and carefully, you're just going to literally, don't put loads of pressure on it, because if you slip you're going to scratch the whole panel. All you're doing is cutting the paper. So all you're trying to do is literally cut the paper, and that'll be more than enough to leave a score line on your panel. See? So that's that done. Now remove my tape. And I can see my score line, and if you really want to go down that road you could on a pencil over it like that, and then highlight your score line, make it easier for you to see what you're doing. You'll just cut into that thicker, darker line there, and there you go, perfect. So jigsaw that out. That can then stay where it is. We can put the sink in with some silicone, connect the sink up, hot cold waste, and then we get on the toilet. Okay, sink is in. We had to do a little bit of cutting on this side. I knew that was going to happen, because obviously we haven't allowed the exact size, and that's just over 120, and we've got exactly 120, so we had to just trim that edge in. But this is like a composite material, so it's quite easy to cut with a grinder. We've siliconed it there. We've put a silicone bead around the bottom. I'm just going to connect the taps and the waste now. And, oh sorry, when it comes to doing the taps, I like to use these. Basically you can screw these straight into your isolator, which are here, and then compress them in, and then do your connections up easy. And it's just the waste pipe, really straightforward. And there you go, she's now connected, and you've got no risk of cutting into the pipe with them fittings, so that can basically be turned on. I'm just going to do the waste, the trap, put my elbow on, solvent weld it, and happy days, we're good to go. We've got a working basin. And that's it guys, we have got a fully functioning waste basin. So I'll get to it in a minute. So that's connected, that is all nicely connected under there, as you can see. It's all looking lovely. Final job, get the toilet in, throw the doors on, do the bath panel, and that's us done for today. See you soon. Okay, so we've got to cut this panel out now for the toilet. So what I've done is I've put the toilet up against the panel, I've centred it, and I've drawn around it. Now we've got to come at least 10 mil inside that line so that we can get the toilet in. Okay, we've cut that hole out. It ain't pretty, but it doesn't have to be. Now we need to cut this pipe, so you're going to measure from here to there. That's how much you've got to cut off, because you've already got it in there. So that's what you've got to do, measure the distance from there to there and cut that excess off. Okay, so that measurement was 170 mil. So from the front we're going to cut off 170 mil. We're going to cut that off there, and then you put your bung back on, and then that'll be the toilet connected. Then we just got to screw it to the floor, put some silicone around it, cut a hole for the flush, and we're good to go. So to fix it to the floor, you're going to centre your toilet. You're going to do a little draw line there, and then a centre line for your screw holes. And then you're going to do that both sides, and then you're going to flip the pan, measure the thickness of the side wall, come that far in, mark it, and then that's where you've got to put your fixing brackets. So I need to allow 30 mil from that line. So that's 30 mil, that's 30 mil. And then you've got to put your fixing points in, that way around, sorry. So you're going to mark roughly where your fixing points are going to go. Right, somewhere there and somewhere there. Drill those holes. I know there's no pipes under here, So I can drill them, I can clean the holes, get it all screwed down and get the pan secured to the floor. Obviously once I've done all my connections here. But I will take this out, like so, and then the panel will go in last. Once I make sure all my connections are gone, because I can just slide that in gently behind it. And that's it, that's our two fixing points now secured to the floor. We can now basically look at connecting the toilet. So you're going to put your rubber on, and you're going to slop that up and over the top of your fitting brackets. You're going to push that in there. You're going to connect your waste into there like so, and then hopefully drop your panel in behind like so. Yeah, that's going to work, so we don't have to fit that yet. We can turn the water on, we can do some test flushes. So wish me luck. So far, it's looking nice and tidy. Okay, she's filled up. Let's plug her in. See if she flushes okay. You can do a small flush first. Just to help slowly fill the pan up. Making sure everything's all dry. I'm going to do that a few times. I'm just going to drill the hole for my push button. I've already marked out the centre. So we've got a panel to go in here now that this flush will go into. That will sit in there like that. And then I've already marked the centre of my panel, so I'm just going to drill that out. Okay, flush is in. Let's give it another. It's looking good. Make sure though the flush is. Oh, Jesus. When you do it though, do make sure you get your pipes around the right way because they are labelled. All looking really nice now. So got the panel in behind. Can't do it yet because I'm being an idiot because I've put the top panel on. Need the height, don't we? To put the panel in properly. Beautiful. That's that bit. Put the pipes back in down there. That's that bit. Screw it to the floor, and then we'll leave the silicone for tomorrow. We'll have a good tidy up, get the doors on, and it's all looking lovely. Still got that little bit of plinth in there to sort out, but that is a minor issue. And then I've got loads of cream silicone in the van. So I'll probably silicone everything cream around the floor lines, down the corners, around the bath. The only place I've done white is literally around the sink because it's a white sink. I might do white around the bath as well. I'm not sure yet. What would you do, guys? Would you do that cream or would you do it white? I think white on the bath and then cream up the corners. That way then it doesn't stand out so much. But everyone has their own opinion, don't they? But other than that, she's basically got a fully functioning bathroom. And we'll be back tomorrow. So don't forget, guys, like, share, follow, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon so you get informed when all the videos come out. And we'll see you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.